Good morning, students. Once again, welcome back to computer class. So, in our last class, we were studying about different types of cybercrime. Okay, first we studied what you mean by plagiarism, then we studied about cyberbullying, identity theft, hacking, spamming. Okay, so these were the different types of cybercrime that we studied in our last class. Hope all of you have revised this topic and also read this topic in your textbook. Okay, so today we are continuing with the different types of cybercrime. Okay, students, today let us study about another common type of cybercrime, that is software piracy. First, let us study the definition for software piracy. It is an illegal copying, distribution, or use of software applications. Okay, software piracy means it is the illegal copying, distribution, or use of software applications. Children, you might have heard people downloading movies which are released yesterday or day before yesterday. How do people get these movies, or how do they download these movies? That is, some people, they might get copy of this particular movies and they will distribute them to different sources. Okay, and these are said to be pirated copies of that particular movie. Similarly, software piracy means it is an illegal process of copying and distributing them to different sources. Okay, it is the illegal process of copying software and distributing them to other sources. Okay, and when someone buys a software, that person is known as the licensed user of that software. Okay, whoever buys a software, that particular person is known as the licensed user of that software. And as being a licensed user, that individual is permitted to make copies of that software program, but he can use these copies only for backup purposes. Once again, the person who buys a software, that particular person is known as the licensed user of that software. Okay, and as being a licensed user, that individual is permitted, or he is allowed to make copies of that software, but he can use this copies only for backup purposes. When that particular individual starts selling these copies to market, this is what we mean by software piracy. Okay, and such copies, they are known as pirated copies. Okay, so when an individual starts selling these copies to market or to different sources, that is what we mean by software piracy, and such copies, they are known as pirated copies. Okay, so once again, when a person buys a software, the particular person is said to be the licensed user of that software. Okay, and being the licensed user, he can make copies of that software, but he can keep them only for backup purposes. Once he starts selling these copies to market, that is what he mean by software piracy, and such copies, they are known as pirated copies. Okay, hope all of you are clear with what you mean by software piracy, what you mean by licensed user of software, what you mean by pirated copies. Okay, so these are the three definitions that you have that you have to study under this topic. Okay, first one is what you mean by software piracy. What do you mean by software piracy? It is the illegal copying, distribution, and use of software applications. Okay, and when a person buys a software, that particular person is known as the licensed user of that software, and this particular person can make copies of the software only for backup purposes. If this person or individual starts selling these copies to market, then this is what we mean by software piracy. Okay, and such copies, they are known as pirated copies. Okay, so this three definitions you have to study from this particular topic, or from this particular cyber crime known as software piracy. Okay, now let us see different forms of software piracy. First one is soft lifting, second one is hard disk loading, third one is renting, and fourth one is counterfeiting. Okay, these are the different forms of software piracies. First one is soft lifting, second one is hard disk loading, third one is renting, and fourth one is counterfeiting. Okay. Students, please take your textbook, and in page number 35, the last topic is being given for software piracy. Okay, look, the first sentence is the definition given for software piracy. It is the illegal copying, distribution, or use of software applications. When someone buys a software, that person is known as the licensed user of that software. Okay, students, you should underline these two sentences. Okay, and moving on to the next paragraph, when an individual starts selling such copies in the market, it is known as a software piracy, and such copies are known as pirated copies. Okay, you should underline these two sentences also. Okay, these are the three definitions that we are studying under this topic. Okay, the next type of cybercrime that we are going to study is about phishing and farming. Okay, in your textbook at page 35, you can see the first topic is given for phishing and farming. Now let us look at the definition for phishing and farming. Both are the attempt to get your username, password, and other confidential information. Okay, phishing and farming means they are the attempt in order to get our username, password, and other confidential information. Okay, in a phishing attack, what attackers do is that first they will create a website that looks similar to the website of a genuine company like bank. Okay, and by using this email or by using this website, they will ask the users in order to update their personal information, and by using this personal information, they will withdraw the money from the user's account. Okay, so this is what happens in phishing attack. First, the attackers, they will create a website that looks similar to the website of a genuine company, for example a bank, and by using this website, they will ask the users in order to update their personal information. Okay, and the users, they will feel that this is a message that comes from the bank. Okay, and they will update their personal information, and by using this personal information, the attackers, they will withdraw the money from the user's bank account. Okay, and in farming attack, what happens is that when a user enters a genuine web address, attackers will redirect the user to a wrong website. Okay, so once again, in farming attack, what happens is that when a user enters a genuine web address, the attackers will redirect them to a wrong website. Okay, so these are the two types of attack. They are phishing and farming. In phishing attack, what happens is that the attackers will create a website that looks similar to the website of a genuine company such as a bank, and this, by using this web page or by using this website, they will ask the users in order to update their personal information. Okay, and by using this personal information, the attackers will withdraw the money from their bank account. And in farming attack, what happens is that when a user enters a genuine web address, attackers will redirect them to a wrong address. Okay, so these are the two types of attacks. They are phishing and farming. And now moving on to the next type of cybercrime, that is violation of privacy. We know that every person has the right of privacy, which means that each person, they has the right to decide whether their personal information should be shared with other people or not. And an important topic or point that comes under violation of privacy is intellectual property rights. First, let us see the definition for intellectual property rights. It is the right given to a person over his or her creation. Okay, this is the definition for intellectual property right. It is the right given to a person over his or her creation. We know that whatever work is being done by a person, he has the right over that particular work. Okay, and he has the right in order to stop other people from using his work. Okay, this is what we mean by intellectual property rights. Intellectual property rights means each person they has the right over his or her work. Okay, and he can stop others from copying or using his or her work. Okay, this is what we mean by intellectual property rights. For example, I have created a logo. Okay, and I have created this logo according to the idea that came from my mind. Okay, so I am the creator of this logo. And if someone is trying to copy this logo or is trying to copy my work, I have the right to stop that particular person. Okay, this is what we mean by intellectual property rights. Now moving on to the last type of cybercrime, that is copyright. Students, in your textbook take page number 37. Okay, first let us see the definition for copyright. While I am reading, you should underline this particular definition in your textbook. Okay, copyright is a term that is used to describe the rights that creators have over their contents or artistic work. Okay, copyright means it is the term that is being used for describing the right that creators have over their content or artistic work, similar to what we have studied in intellectual property right, which means that each person has the right over the work that they do. Okay, and it is a type of intellectual property right that is being given for photographers, authors, architects, publishers, music composers, painters, sculptors, computer programmers, etc. Okay, so copyright means it is also a type of intellectual property right, and it is being given for different types of groups like photographers, authors, architects, publishers, music composers, painters, computer programmers, etc. Okay, and copyright means it is a combination of two words. The two words are copy and right. Okay, so this is what we mean by the last type of cybercrime known as copyright. It means it describes the right that creators have over their contents or artistic work. Okay, so with this we come to the different types of cybercrimes. First we studied about plagiarism, then we studied about cyberbullying, identity theft, phishing and farming, hacking, spamming, software piracy, violation of privacy, and at last copyright. Okay, moving on to the next topic, digital footprint. In your textbook take page number 37. Okay, while we are using internet, you may perform different activities like registering your website, sending email, uploading images and videos, making online transaction, posting commands, etc. Okay, so whenever you do these activities, it leaves traces of your personal information online, and this is what we mean by digital footprint. Digital footprint is the information about a particular person that exists on the internet as a result of his or her online activity. This is the definition for digital footprint. In your textbook in page 37, under the topic digital footprint, please underline this definition. Okay, digital footprint is the information about a particular person that exists on the internet as a result of his or her online activity. Okay, so whenever we use internet, it is important to keep track of the information and activities that we do while we post online. Okay, so once again, digital footprint means is the information about a particular person that exists on the internet as a result of his or her online activity. Because while we are using internet, we do different types of activities. For example, you might be registering your website, sending email, uploading images, videos, making online transaction, etc. Okay, so whenever you do online activities, it leaves a trace of your personal information. So we should be careful and we should keep track of information or activities that we do while we are posting online. Next, let us see how do you leave digital footprint. We leave digital footprint while doing some online activities like accessing social networking websites, online shopping, blogging. These are some of the activities that leave digital footprints. Okay, first one is accessing social network. That is, whenever we access any social networking websites, we might post comments, we might share information, or we might upload an image or video. Okay, these are some of the ways in which we can leave digital footprints by using social networking. Okay, second one is online shopping. While we are doing online shopping on any website, for example Flipkart, Amazon, or let it be any online shopping websites, you have to enter your personal information, for example your name, address, phone number, etc. Okay, and this activities also leave your record online. Third one is blogging. Publishing a blog and posting a comment on other blogs are also another way of leaving your digital footprints. Okay, so these are the three different online activities that will help leaving your digital footprints. Okay, so whenever you do these three online activities, you should be careful. Okay, students, which are the three activities that you should be careful that can leave your digital footprints? First one is accessing your social networking websites. Second one is online shopping websites. And third one is blogging. Okay. Next, let us study some of the safety measures that we have to follow while we are using internet. We know that internet has become an important or integral part of our daily life. Okay, and it is a platform that gives lot of information. But at the same time, we should be careful while we are using internet. And now let us see some of the safety measures that we have to follow while we are using an internet. First safety measure that we have to follow is about our personal information. We should protect our personal information. We should not respond to any email that asks for your personal information. And you must never share your name, home address, school name, mobile number with any unknown person while you are using an internet. Okay, so this is how you can protect your personal information. First one is you should not respond to any email that asks for your personal information, and also you should never share your name, home address, school name or mobile number with any unknown persons while you are using internet. Okay, second safety measure that you can take is to install and update your antivirus software in your computer regularly. Okay, that is, you should scan your computer on a regular basis. Okay, this is the second safety measure that you can take, that is installing and updating your antivirus software regularly. Okay, and third one is password. Some of the ways in which you can protect your password is, first one is you should never share your password with anyone except your parents. Okay, the second point is whenever you are using internet in a cyber cafe or in an internet cafe, you should make sure that you have logged out of your computer after using internet. Okay, and third point is you should always try to change your password every month. And your password should be a combination of letters, numbers and special characters. Okay, so these are some of the ways in which you can protect your password. First one is you should never share your password with anyone. Second one is you should log out of your computer while you are using internet from a internet cafe. Third one is you should try to change your password every month. Okay, and your password should be a combination of letters, numbers and special characters. Okay, the fourth type of safety measure that we have to look onto is online advertisements. First thing is that you should not buy anything online without consulting your parents. And second point is that Some advertisements, they may try to trick you by offering free things or by telling you that you have won something, and this is their way of collecting your personations. Okay, so never fall into such type of advertisements. Okay, so first thing is that you should not buy anything online without consulting your parents. Okay, and second point is that some advertisements they may try to trick you by offering free things or by telling you that you have won something. Okay, you should never fall into such type of tricks. This is their way of collecting your personal informations. Okay, so the fourth type of safety measure is you have to be careful about online advertisements. Okay, the fifth type of safety measure is using firewall. Okay, firewall will work like a filter between your computer and internet. Okay, and firewall will determine which are the websites that we can access and which are the websites that we cannot access. Okay, so it will prevent attackers from accessing our information. Okay, it will act like a layer of security. Okay, so the fifth method or the fifth type of safety measure is by using firewall. Firewall will work like a filter between the computer and the internet. Okay, so firewall will decide which are the websites to be accessed and which are the websites which are not to be accessed. Okay, that is, it will act like a layer of security and it will prevent the attackers from accessing our information. Okay, and the last type of safety measure is social networking. Okay, can you name some of the commonly used social networking websites? Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, LinkedIn. Okay, all of you are familiar with such types of social networking websites. All of you have been using them in your day-to-day life, and all of you know that you can sign up into these websites only after a certain age. Okay, there is a minimum age requirement for you to sign up into these types of social networking websites. Okay, and this networking websites, they provide this age requirements in order to protect you, because once you sign up onto any of the social networking websites, we have to be careful about sharing our personal information, and that is why such type of social networking websites, they provide a minimum age requirement for you to sign up. Okay, so these are the different methods or safety measures that we have to take care while we are using the internet. Okay, and also remember one thing, even though these are some of the guidelines that are being given for us to be safer, but criminals, they are finding new methods day by day. Okay, so what we can do is to be alert and stay away from these different types of technologies. Okay, and as a student, what you can do is that never keep aside any secrets from your parents. While you are using internet, whatever you are browsing, they should be visible to your parents too. Okay, never keep aside any secrets from them. Never share your password with anyone. Okay, never share your personal information with any unknown person. Okay, and never get into the tricks that are being provided by different types of advertisements. Okay, and while you are using social networking apps or social networking websites, you have to be careful whenever you pass your personal information. Okay, better try not to share your personal information. So these are some of the ways or safety measures that we can follow while we are using internet. Okay, and students, with this we come to end of chapter number 4. Okay, so in this chapter, first we studied what do you mean by ethics in computing, what do you mean by internet ethics, then we studied what do you mean by cybercrime. Okay, then we studied different types of cybercrime: plagiarism, cyberbullying, identity theft, phishing and farming, hacking, spamming, software piracy, violation of piracy, and copyright. Okay, then we saw what do you mean by digital footprint. What do you mean by digital footprint? It is the information about a particular person that exists on the internet as a result of his or her online activity. Okay, then we saw what are the activities that could leave digital footprints. Social networking, online shopping, blogging. These are some of the activities that could leave digital footprints. Okay, and at last we saw which are the safety measures that we have to follow while we are using internet. First one is personal information. We should protect our personal information. We should never share our personal information with an unknown person. Then our system should be installed with an antivirus software. Third one is we should protect our password. Never share your password with anyone. Okay, and fourth one is online advertisement. You should not buy anything online without consulting your parents. Okay, and fifth one is using firewall. Okay, firewall will act like a filter and it will decide which websites are to be accessed and which websites are not to be accessed. Okay, and at last we saw about social networking websites. Okay, there is a age limit in which you could sign up into social networking websites. Okay, so you should keep in mind all these points. And now we have come to end of this chapter, and hope all of you are clear with all the topics in this chapter. If you are having any doubt, you can contact me in my personal number. Okay, you could call me or you could WhatsApp me. Thank you.